Hello, everyone. We'll get started in a few moments, just letting folks in.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Just giving folks a moment to gather. And we'll be underway shortly. Okay. It's a minute after, so we'll get started. And folks will be assembling as we're going through our opening comments. So welcome everyone to our first Marketing Matters webinar hosted by Delta Think and the International Bunch. We're happy to have you join us today. Our topic today is embracing AI opportunities in scholarly communications. And this is with a focus on the opportunities and challenges posed by AI as it relates to the scholarly publishing marketing landscape. Before we get underway, let's do some introductions. I'm Lori Carlin, Chief Commercial Officer at Delta Think.
And I'm Hannah Baldwin, Director of Marketing Success at the International Bunch.
And we're also delighted to welcome our first speaker in this new series, Jake. And I'm going to say, I asked Jake to help me make sure I pronounced his last name correctly. And he very cheerily said, oh, just Jake, call me Jake. So Jake it is. Jake's an assistant professor at Lincoln Alexander School of Law, Toronto Metropolitan University, as well as the production editor of the Transnational Human Rights Review, a designated Queen Elizabeth Scholar, and a World Economic Forum expert on human rights. He has also been an international lawyer for over a dozen years, working in over 40 countries, and has published widely in various issues of artificial intelligence, international law, and human rights, winning several academic awards for his work. Again, we are very delighted that Jake agreed to be our first Marketing Matters speaker. As far as structure, I'll pass the mic, so to speak, to Jake in a moment to give his presentation. Once he's done, we'll move to Q&A. Hannah and I have a couple of questions for Jake that we already know we want to ask him, but we very much would like to hear questions from you all as well. If you can ask your questions in the Q&A box, that would be really helpful. And of course, use the chat if you'd like to introduce yourself to the others attending and to chat during the session. So thank you again for joining us, and I will hand off to Jake to start his presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. It is such an honor to be the first speaker of Marketing Matters. I mean, thanks to you, thanks to Delta Think, thanks to the International Bunch, and thanks to Lou. I see you in the comment section. Thanks to you, Lori, and to you, Hannah, for the massive support. I think it's a celebratory moment to see this come to fruition. And so, yes, I am so happy to connect with you all. And just like Lori mentioned, we're going to speak about embracing AI opportunities in scholarly communications. A little background as to how we all became besties, myself, Lori, Hannah, and Lou. I was a keynote speaker at the Alps conference last year, and I had an absolutely amazing time. I spoke about the issue around open access and generative AI, and how they affect scholarly publishing today. And I really, really just got a privileged entree into the scholarly publishing world, and I'm just been fascinated by it. Of course, I've been on the sidelines as an academic myself, a writer, a researcher, a publisher of books and journals. And so it was so great to experience Alps, and they brought me here as the first speaker. So yes, I am really, really honored. I look forward to learning from everyone. Yeah, so I will start with this very big issue. Let's talk about this pivotal moment we're experiencing in marketing history. I'm not a marketer. I work in the field of AI and international law, and I've done that for about 10 years, so to speak, but I know the value of marketing, and I know how. I've experienced marketing from a customer or a recipient perspective, and so I'm excited to explore this conversation with you. Feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to, raise your hand, interrupt me if you need me to speak faster, slower, whatever it is. If you are finding it difficult to understand my accent, trust me, I can switch it quite fast. I'm still learning to play with that anyways. But let's talk about this pivotal moment, and we can start by taking a brief walk down the memory lane. Let's think back to the early days of digital marketing when banner ads were revolutionary. And I think we've come a very long way from the basic click-through and email open rates. And we've seen how social media has given marketers an unprecedented access to audiences that enables some level of engagement that we've only dreamed about maybe 2 decades ago. And then came programmatic advertising, data analytics, predictive modeling. These new insights, excitingly, have reshaped how we connect, with customers. And so with all of these proliferating use of technology, the advancement from first, second, third to fourth industrial revolution, now we hear all kinds of things about technology going super fast. AI has sort of entered the charts, and it's a game changer, right? I mean, imagine 10 years ago, if you were planning a campaign, you might have relied on a team of analysts to help you crunch weeks and weeks of data if you want to predict customer behavior. But today, AI can do all of this in minutes. It can identify trends. It can suggest strategies for you. It can help you tailor specific communication to individual customers. And so for me, this is more than a shift. I think it's a fundamental change. I think things have changed drastically and excitingly too. But so many questions, but also so many exciting things to share. So let's address the elephant in the room. Many marketers in scholarly communication feel overwhelmed or undervalued or demotivated. I don't find many people excited. And it's not just about the scholarly publishing world or the scholarly communication or marketing world, literally everywhere, even as academics, lawyers, we're all skeptical as to, should we be excited? Should we not be? AI is literally adding a lot of pressure. So let's be honest, it can feel like you're being asked to master an entirely new skill or new discipline while still juggling with the traditional demands of your own roles. So yes, within all of this challenge and skepticism lies an immense opportunity. And I think I would start by telling you about some of the opportunities that AI brings to marketing and scholarly communication. And then I can talk about some of the what I would call watch out, some of the maybe things we need to think critically about or watch out for, even as we're excitingly using some of these tools. Maybe we can start with a poll. Feel free to type in the chats. Should AI be used for marketing in scholarly communications? It could be a yes, it could be a no, it could be like, well, I think this. But I'd love to hear what you think. Just to have a scope of if people are more excited, more skeptical, more optimistic, or otherwise. Okay, I see a lot of yeses. So there's a yes with 5 exclamation marks. There's yes, there's yep. There's yep with a robot entered the charts. Rory, I can see that. Absolutely. With human quality control, yes, the productivity gains are massive. Okay, this is good. This is good. Maybe a few, 2, 3, 4 years ago, there would not have been a lot of yeses, right? But I'm happy that people are excited, and we should be, because the technology is here. It's going nowhere. We have to use it and tailor it to our advantage. So thank you all for that. I really appreciate it. Keep the chats coming. Just keep it going. So I will start by saying AI systems cannot replace marketers or marketing. This is my view. Feel free to challenge me. I don't think AI can replace marketers because history tells us that, right? Yes, it can amplify what you do, but it can't replace. It's too early to fully ascertain the impact of AI systems and what it would have in marketing. But yes, we know it has already changed the scope of marketing already. And these are some examples here. Netflix AI-driven recommendation systems, and this might not be related to marketing or scholarly communication, but we can draw some inference here. The smart campaigns by Google, Sephora's virtual assist, and of course, MailChimp's AI-powered email marketing platform, which have done really, really amazing. this gives us an insight as to how AI is just transforming literally every aspect of human endeavor. But specifically in scholarly communication, one of these tools could be used to free you from all the mundane tasks so that you can focus more on strategy, more on creativity, to help you understand your customers more, understand your market more at a different level than we could have done before. So now with more data analytics, there's a lot more that can be achieved at a very deeper level like never before. For example, I would say that AI is not just about automation. I think for marketers, it's about augmentation. It's about empowering marketers and organizations to do more that they could have done before, or to do faster, or learn faster, or innovate in ways that you may not have imagined before. So the scholarly publishing industry offers very unique examples of AI's promising potential. For instance, Silverchair's AI Lab enhances content discovery and user interaction. Their AI-driven tools can help you summarize complex research papers. It can help you access, even much broader audiences, and there are many more. There is very stage solutions. It helps you streamline your workflows for publishers. It could help you automate metadata generation. It can improve content accessibility. So these tools generate or demonstrate how AI can drive precision, can drive innovation in marketing in a very fast-changing way. That information is delivered and discovered and utilized. So there's so many tools. There's Cite. I use Cite as a research tool. When generative AI started, I was very disappointed by how the hallucination issues, the errors, and just so many crazy things. But it's gotten a bit better, and there are way much more tools. For example, Cite, Paperpile, Scholarly. These are some of the tools. Even Grammarly, which used to just be to autocorrect, has become like editing and citation software. So it's interesting to see how these tools are revolutionizing scholarly publishing and communication. Another example is how AI systems can complement human ingenuity. For example, this advertising campaign by Lexus, where an AI system analyzed 15 years of award-winning car advertisement to script a commercial that resonated emotionally with tons of audiences. And I think it won an award as well. And so the result was not just that it was a data-driven ad, it was more of like a powerful piece of storytelling that was able to merge human insights with AI analytical prowess. And I think the ability to merge, the ability to sort of use your tools, but use the techniques of storytelling and, and communication can actually produce something that could be as groundbreaking as this. So this campaign highlights how AI can provide a foundation for creative ideas, but enable you as a marketer to focus more on the emotional, on the cultural, that only you as a human being can master. AI systems don't have emotional or cultural sensibilities, at least for now, and don't let the movies fool you. But yes, AI systems, the possibilities are vast. I mean, they require us to maybe lean in, to sometimes maybe experiment. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes they hallucinate. But this is the moment that we should be embracing the technology. This is the moment we should dive in to see how does this technology reshape our field. And so for this part of my presentation, I want to encourage you to not see AI systems as a threat, but see it as an ally, right? I think this is your moment to innovate, to redefine your value as a marketer, but to also reclaim your place in marketing. I think there was a survey I read 2 days ago that talked about people are requiring more human touch when it comes to marketing and meeting people that would convince them to take on a new product and the rest of that, in as much as the same people are also excited about exploring AI, and AI systems are doing just what human beings were doing like 10 years ago. So this is a moment of reclaiming, but it's also a moment of diving in and exploring what is possible together as a community, but also as a professional who works in marketing in this space. So first, let's talk about the role of AI in marketing. And I might show you some examples that might not be directly related to this field, but there are some inferences there that might sort of apply, right? So we know how AI is changing how marketing operates. But we know its full impact, it's still being assessed, right? We have some applications that have been great in shifting consumer behavior, in developing campaigns, in improving how brand can analyze data. But we know some of them are literally still just marketing, like the marketing, not necessarily providing good products that we can use. Some are still testing, some are still developing. A lot of them are still emerging, right? So it's too early to say, well, this is what the role of AI has on marketing, or if it's a positive or a negative. But there are three ways we can provide examples on the role of AI in marketing. The first is predictive analytics. So predictive analytics is changing how businesses get to approach marketing. So they're enabling using AI to anticipate customer needs even before they get feedback after the product has been used, for example. So using AI to deliver personalized experiences. This could be from using AI and machine learning. Oops, sorry about that. When you have your phone uh, connected to your computer. Yes. So yeah, we see how different instances of using predictive analytics can help marketers identify patterns, can help you forecast future behaviors. Although this is not related to scholarly publishing, I think there's some marketing examples that I can share. First is Starbucks. Maybe some of you know about this, but a customer who frequently buys hot drinks on cold days, you might have received a notification sometimes for your favorite caramel macchiato or your vanilla bay latte when you pass a store on a rainy morning and you're wondering, how did Starbucks know that I would need this coffee at the moment? But of course, they use predictive analytics to improve personalized marketing. They're delivering tailored promotions to 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 help you optimize what your needs are. So of course, they look at your purchase history, they look at the weather patterns and they tie that together, and they look at your real-time location data. And with these three information synthesized together, we've seen how this data-driven approach has contributed to measurable growth for Starbucks. As at 2024, they reported a 13% year-over-year increase because of their AI-powered rewards program, which now totals 34.3 million. And so this AI reward system accounted for 57% of revenue from their stores from 2023 to 2024. Netflix is another one that uses predictive analytics. In the entertainment space, you find how Netflix recommends movies or shows to you. It's pretty much through this predictive analytics software that they use. And 80% of their content viewed on the platform is through this algorithmic system. So Netflix knows what time of the day you watch your shows, and it can predict or suggest that tailored to your taste of shows you've watched before. They are able to personalize your engagement, and they've done this for over 283 million subscribers. And this has reduced a lot of churn and has driven the platform to a sustained level of growth and a sustained level of customer loyalty. I have problems with Netflix and how far they're going with AI, but I mean, let's look at the good side of what they're doing. In retail, companies like Amazon utilizes predictive analytics to optimize their operations. I mean, from your buying patterns, it helps Amazon ensure that products are stocked efficiently, and they've been able to minimize the risk of overstocking or shortages. I think for the first time in the history of the world, we're seeing a retail like Amazon accurately determine what its stocking quota would be. And I think that helps a lot of businesses or companies to plan in terms of inventory cost reduction, in terms of product availability. So that's one area we can see some leverage. Now, I know I talk about predictive analytics, and this is what these companies do, but I just want to give a little proviso here. When it comes to marketing, a lot of people say AI systems can predict customers' wants and feelings. That's the thing Netflix talks about. They know how you feel, but by the movies you watch. I don't think so, though. First of all, I share my Netflix account, and so there are so many feelings in there. But it's the predictiveness of future events is something that I'm not too sure about. However, as the technology is growing more potent, businesses are finding a lot of value in accurately telling and personalizing what people want. And I think for us in this industry, there are opportunities for us to explore this area even more keenly. Now, let's talk about another one, which is personalization at a high scale. And I think this applies here very well. When we talk about personalization, it used to be like an ambitious goal in marketing, because it was like, how would you achieve this? There was mostly generic one-size-fits-all campaigns, but right now there's a shift towards personalized engagement, and it is enhancing customer experience and improving marketing performance. So platforms like, Meta ads and Google ads, they exemplify how AI is changing targeted advertising. I mean, we all know this. You might be shopping for a fitness equipment. The next thing you're getting hand gloves for your dumbbells, or you're getting suggestions to buy like the new water bottle or like whatever it is. This automated precision eliminates that labor-intensive process of traditional segmentation, because ads can now capture your attention more and can actually help drive meaningful engagement. And what is the outcome? The outcome is campaigns that work smarter, campaigns that work efficiently, not just harder, right? Now, in the scholarly publishing industry and in scholarly communication as well, AI-driven personalization can actually revolutionize how academic content is marketed and how it's disseminated to us as researchers, as institutions, as universities, as libraries, name it. Just the same way AI tailors ads to consumer preferences in marketing or in mainstream marketing, I think it can be leveraged to recommend relevant journal articles, recommend books, recommend research materials based on the scholar's reading history, or based on a citation pattern, or or a research interest. For example, I work in international law and artificial intelligence. My work centers around human rights, and I use human rights framing to interrogate technology law. Now, I think it's possible for an AI-curated software to suggest new publishing papers or upcoming conferences or even funding opportunities. I feel like that level of specialization is yet to be explored within the industry. And I'm hoping there's more engagement and more appetite for these kinds of personalization. Another thing is about personal emails. I think personal emails have shown that they can achieve transaction rates up to 6 times better than generic ones. So companies that use advanced personalization strategies have reported a return of $20 for every $1 they invested, and a remarkable 2,000% on ROI. So even just a personal email, even if it's just using AI software for something as simple as responding or replying, these statistics show the effectiveness of AI in creating marketing experiences in ways that would connect us, to products and to brands, and to maybe foster trust in our work. Before I talk about sentiment analysis, I would just say that there is a lot of statistics that show high effectiveness of AI in creating marketing experiences that connect customers with significant business outcomes. But there is much more value when that AI effectiveness, and it takes some skill, has a way to complement what the individual is used to doing or what the customer is used to experiencing. So there's still that bridge of tech and human input. But anyways, let me go to the third one, which is on sentiment analysis. And I'm not very positive about anything that has to do with sentiment. Is very, very touchy. For someone who works as for someone who works in the legal space, one of the negative outcomes we see with the use of AI is on things like this, because AI systems find it quite difficult to interpret context. So as a Black scholar, for example, I don't know if many AI systems understand the sarcasm or domain-specific language. And we've seen a lot of miscalculation or misclassification of sentiment by AI systems, because AI systems are built by people, and it carries their biases and carries their ideologies or their values. So this is a place that I'm quite critical. But despite these limitations, sentiment analysis can be a very powerful tool for marketers, especially in scholarly communication, because it can help you track how researchers, institutions, and the academic communities are perceiving their journals, right? For example, if there's a rising negative sentiment regarding a journal's slow review time, I think publishers can proactively address that concern by improving the workflow efficiency and communicating better with authors, right? So sometimes you can do a sentiment analysis by actually just searching on social media and using what people have said about a particular journal or a particular article or whatever it is, and you access what that feedback. You can use AI to analyze that feedback and help maybe prevent reoccurring instances. The same applies to issues about like pricing models or even content discoverability, right? For an academic from the global south, I find that multilingual sentiment analysis is something that is still upcoming, but it can help further academic publishing to be much more global, whereby you understand sentiment, but within a different lingual or within a different cultural space, so to speak. So as a marketer, you can tailor your communication strategies to different regions. You can ensure that your outreach efforts are resonating effectively with diverse scholarly audience. And you can actually sentimentize or analyze how they're perceiving your communication if it's achieving the goal that you intended for them to achieve, right? And I think social media is a fantastic area where this analysis can be deployed because brands can now monitor reactions to their campaigns or products. For example, during a product rollout, you can see a rise in negative feedback on a platform like X or Instagram, and that could help you highlight a potential problem that you might need immediate attention on. So even the ability to intervene where there's a problem becomes possible because of the use of these kinds of analysis. Now, the fourth would be on creativity and collaboration. I think the relationship between creativity and technology has always balanced opportunity with uncertainty, right? So when we see these advances in automation and AI, they've raised a lot of valid concerns about like job displacement, how machines can take away tasks from people that originally require human skills. But at the same time, technology is reshaping creative work. It's advancing creativity in some way, but it's also changing the way that people collaborate, right? So with the full impact on creativity, so to speak, I would love to know from your marketing experience in scholarly communication, do you think, or have you, in your use of ChatGPT or any tools, do you think AI systems help you creatively? Or is it more administrative? Do you find creative function when you use AI tools like maybe ChatGPT or Cloud or whichever one you're using at the moment? I would love you to let me know in the chat section. It could be yes, it could be no. I would love to know what you think. Okay. Stephanie says 100% with creativity, great for brainstorming, outlining. I absolutely agree. Brainstorming, outlining, yes. Rebecca says, I use it to jumpstart myself with ideas, but those tricky copywriting assignments, I don't know how to start. I do the same too, but I do this thing where I first of all force myself to think first and write it down and then see what the AI software gives. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then I can compare and be like, I give myself a pat on the back that it couldn't think something I wrote down. And sometimes I'm like, am I that dumb that I couldn't think of up to half of what it came up with? But of course, I'm not competing with it. It's using billions and billions and trillions of data sets and all the knowledge it has on the internet compared to just my one tiny lived insignificant experience. Ashlina says, yes, I like to use it as a starting off point when I'm stuck creatively. Yes, those moments of dry spell, AI systems can help. Imogen says yes for creativity. Lou says, I do. I tried ChatGPT Cloud. Lou, you have the whole list of AI softwares. Daisy says, I find them to be reductive, sort of the opposite of creative. That's an interesting point. I think someone once tweeted and said, I would love generative AI to do the laundry and polish my shoes and take out the garbage, not write a poem for me, not, create, write a love letter to my spouse, and I agree with them. I don't know why the industry wants to use AI more of the things that we're more sentimentally attached to. And Tammy says, great for brainstorming and idea generating. Wow, thank you all so much. And sorry if I skipped your message. don't let that discourage you from participating. But thank you. I agree. I think there are ways. While the full impact is yet to be measured and is not always definitive, I think there's strong evidence to show how AI can complement human ingenuity, how AI can drive innovation and even make new opportunities possible. So these are examples that also may not be directly related to this field, but they can actually help us understand something here. For example, Heinz Draw Ketchup campaign, which relied on AI to analyze thousands of user-generated sketches. They asked people to draw ketchup, and most people drew their brand. And that really just gave them this certain level of dominance, of cultural prominence, just crafted some narrative that resonated deeply with people because, one, people participated, and number two, they could see, they could draw inference from a lot of people's work, right? And they used AI to process this huge amount of unstructured data, and it helped them provide some media content that they could boast with. So they're not saying we're the best, they're saying we asked you and you told us we are the brand, so to speak. Something so creatively like that is something I think AI systems can help do. The other one is people who use tools like DALL-E and Midjourney can allow designers and marketers to generate visual prototypes in minutes. And I don't know if some of you have used those. You have like your marketing campaign in a text format. You want to transcribe it to video through, you can use Sora for that, or you want to transcribe it to a picture or whatever it is. Of course, they're not very perfect. I could still see they use too many colors when they convert to images, but it's okay. But the point is, creative teams no longer have to start with a blank canvas. You can explore a wide range of AI-generated ideas, and you focus your effort on refining the best ones, right? So the practical benefits of AI in creative workflow is very evident. I think when you integrate AI tools into processes that require efficiency, we can see that they do very well in that regard, right? So the role of AI in creativity, I think, represents a transformative shift because fundamentally it has changed how we think about technology and how it integrates into our own direct human workflows. So unlike the traditional tools that are quite boring, these are tools that can passively aid your task as a marketer to help you collaborate, to automate repetitive processes. I don't know about you guys, but I don't. Emails right now, like as a teacher with over 150 students, I know every Monday I'm going to get like 10 or 12 emails of people saying, I can't make it to class, my cat is sick, or the snow, something like that. I'm just going to use, generative AI to reduce that repetitive process. And I think the same applies for foundational ideas and also for analyzing complex data sets. Okay, a lot of the praise of like AI is the best thing since sliced bread and the genie in the bottle. Yeah. AI is the Aladdin. We get it. But let's talk a little bit about, let's be critical. Of course, my main message here is please adopt AI, use it, jump in, explore, play with it. That's the message. However, I have to be critical because I am very critical of AI systems. In fact, my research and publications have always been analyzing the criticality of what we need to be thinking through as scholars, not just as practitioners. I'm also the kind of person that if you want to sell me a product, I would like to see you in person. Like I'm more likely if I see you and engage with you, if I know you, I would jump on the product more than a random phone call but I'm different. Maybe I'm too old. It is what it is. But let's talk about things to watch out for, right? I think AI in marketing is like that super smart friend who always has the answers. They went to like Oxford, Cambridge, Princeton, Columbia. They're just so smart, but they overdo it sometimes. Like when you're not at home, they step into your house and change your furniture and they change your blinds and like, sometimes you have to like calm down, right? And I ask myself sometimes, why is AI recommending this product for me? Why is it even selling me this thing? Sometimes as a marketer, you might even see AI advertise your competitors. Like it's not a powerful technology. So it is a powerful technology, but it's not a perfect technology. So my goal is not to discourage you with this next part, but just to point out 3 things, maybe 4 things actually, that we need to watch out for when we deal with these AI systems. The first is the privacy dilemma. And I don't think I need to even explain this too much. I think practical concerns around lawful consent, data ownership, and even the boundaries between personalization and surveillance, because I think it's getting a little bit blurred, right? But this issue of informed consent, I think, is particularly pressing because in a world where data collection is very integral to marketing strategies, how do we ensure that consumers are genuinely, that they genuinely understand and agree to the terms under which their data is collected, stored, and even used, right? The current mechanisms that we have right now is that very lengthy terms, very lengthy service agreements with very opaque privacy policies sometimes obscure the scope of data processing, obscures some of the legal, let me say, some of the legal issues that should not have been obscured. And we're finding a lot of courts dismissing some lengthy service agreements or very verbose or high-level speaking agreements. Courts are saying this is unconscionable. This is an unfair term because you write it with such high legalese, and even though you got their consent on the app, you did not really make it possible for them to understand that their data was going to use in this way, or they were losing their rights in that way. So privacy is also something that we're still dealing with, literally, both in the physical world and in the digital world. There are also issues around data ownership, which adds a different layer of complexity. People who manage a lot of data think they own the data when they don't really own it. They just have a right to use it. And so data sharing agreements become also another thing in law. So just understanding consumer data, understanding the extent to which that data can be used, sold, resold, which data is vulnerable, which one should be anonymized, which one should, like, the dynamics around data, right? Very important. But more importantly is this challenge around personalization versus surveillance. So yes, we celebrate personalization. We want things to be more personal to us. We want advertisements to reach us and recommend exactly what we want. But therein lies a risk for some form of surveillance, right? So for us, we have to think, are there ethical limits to how far or how deep AI should probe into consumers' lives in the quest to influence their behavior? Even when these practices are legally permissible, is it going too far? Is it good? Because some customers are scared when AI systems are predicting exactly things that they need, and they become a bit skeptical. So this tension between privacy is something that is quite critical to think about. The second one is the authenticity trap. And I think you can say the authenticity trap or the authenticity paradox. I think this represents a critical challenge in marketing, right? For one thing, it raises profound questions about the nature of genuine connection, right? In this environment that is increasingly shaped by algorithms, can marketing remain genuine? Maybe what is genuine would change over time, because I read a paper that said what is genuine is just what we are used to. In the next 5 years, people will find genuity with AI systems, and that could be true. But the point is, there is something around a synthetic authenticity phenomenon, which allows AI to mimic human language, mimic human style, mimic human tone. When I call customer care and I realize that, this is not even a human being. There's some form of like, I just feel like, okay, whatever. I don't feel excited anymore. Or maybe people are excited. I don't know. But there's this issue around genuine connection. And I think this might be an opportunity for the marketing industry to sometimes prioritize where they want to establish human-to-human connection and areas where that genuine connection is not necessarily relevant. But the issues here from a legal perspective would be the potential for manipulation, especially for people who don't know that AI systems are being used in this way. And of course, the vulnerabilities, emotional vulnerabilities, and how questions around how can a brand rebuild trust? So when consumers feel manipulated by some level of AI interaction and they've lost trust, how can you build that trust? And I think this challenge shows the fragility of trust when it comes to using AI to drive your marketing and the kind of high stakes involved in that. So I think to navigate this paradox, I think businesses, companies, academics, publishers need to think about boundaries where you want to adopt AI and where not to, but where you want to prioritize trust and transparency. Because some people say, oh, if we tell them we're using AI, they might not be excited anymore. Or, but where do you tell them? How do you decide? At what point do you decide to make a disclosure versus where you don't? So it's still tricky, and no one has the answer. But the point is, we need to determine, and you have to determine. You are the expert in marketing, not the AI. The AI is not an expert in marketing. You are the expert in marketing. So you should decide where and how you want to establish that genuine authenticity. The third is bias in the machine, and we've all experienced this a lot. Yeah, I remember 2 weeks ago, I was on a flight. I think we're like maybe 3 or 4 Black people on the flight, and someone scanned their face on the Delta. Okay, I've mentioned the airline Delta, whatever. Anyway, someone scanned onto the plane, and they scanned as me. I was like, no, that's not me. So when I was trying to scan, they were like, you're already in. I'm like, I wasn't in. That's not me. So the guy had to be called out to be rescanned again. But it could happen to anybody. Machine algorithmic bias is something that is a very pressing issue with AI. It's not just because people are Black or queer or from a minority group. It's just what it is. Human systems are all biased, just the same way all humans are biased. We're used to a certain type of worldview, and so AI systems rely on the historical data to identify the patterns and to predict outcomes, right? So it's just replicating and amplifying those biases that are inherent in the data. AI systems can help reduce existing bias that we see in our social spaces, but they can also amplify it if we're not aware that those biases exist. So we've all heard stories of, the black box nature of AI systems, how it makes it difficult to pinpoint the source of that bias decision. But I think the broader question here remains for you to ask yourself, should efficiency and profitability take precedence over fairness and inclusivity? Even when an AI tool can do all that it wants to do, is that better off than having a more diverse EDI team that can help embellish and improve the quality of your marketing campaigns or the ideas that you generate, right? So these are questions people have to ask beyond just the bias in the machine question. And I think the one many of you would resonate with is this idea of creativity being under threat. And I like the comments in the section where some of you are like, yeah, we're using these tools. And of course, someone said they're a bit skeptical, and we're all skeptical, right? In law, we still don't know if AI systems can actually be given the status of creativity because it's not a human being. So most courts have thrown out cases saying AI systems can't create. They are not humans. They are not eligible for intellectual property protection. But I think this idea that AI systems can displace marketing creativity, I think it's false. I think it doesn't really understand what marketers do, from even the thinking pattern to the analysis to understanding the market, the field, even the strategies of communication. Because every time an AI system fails, a human being comes up and says, well, let me explain what happens. I'm like, okay, so that's it. That's communication right there. But one key question is whether the widespread use of AI, whether it risks creating a marketing environment that is homogenized and devoid of human innovation, because AI systems are being used so much that maybe what it creates will become so just similar, right? I think the balance between efficiency and human intuition becomes quite critical here. I think human creators, just like marketers as you do, you draw from lived experiences, you draw from stories, from cultural nuances, you draw from your ability to interpret things in the communication space that are emotional or social. And I don't think those qualities exist in technology. Organizations have to ensure that these unique human contributions are preserved and integrated. Of course, AI can help, but you see how it depends on who's using the tool, who's using the AI system, as opposed to the AI system itself. Another challenge or another dimension would be to determine whether there should be limits placed on using AI in creative process. I find like any opportunity to create limits or to be like, we're not using AI here, doesn't help it just doesn't. I don't know. Like last year, we had faculty meetings in my school. We need to ensure students don't use AI for waste of time. We can't tell. And also, they will be disadvantaged. If my law students who don't use AI meet law students who use AI, they would not be comparable. So I want my law students to use it, play with it, in fact, fail at it. That way, they are engaging in the new economy, but I'm talking to them about these ethical things, these very critical bias issues. They need to understand it. And I think the last would be the transparency tightrope. So as AI becomes central to personalizing messages and generating content, it raises critical questions about whether people should use it openly. Should you disclose how you're using, when you're using? I don't have an answer to this. So I'm on a committee that advises the judiciary, and they made a request that they want lawyers to disclose if they use AI before they submit their briefs to court. Some lawyers disclosed, and it didn't augur well for them generally. Even in areas where they did not use AI, judges felt like they used AI systems, and judges looked at them differently, like being incompetent, so to speak. So I don't know, maybe I'm not the expert here, but I think this central tension lies whether transparency about AI usage would help build your consumer trust, or whether it risks alienating your audience by diminishing that perceived authenticity of interaction. So on the one hand, openly disclosing the role of AI may, align with what is widely considered ethical, but on the other hand, it might provide some form of distrust or disappointment with how people engage with your brands. But I think transparency is something that is going to be a hot topic in the use of AI, because AI systems themselves do not have the capacity to explain how they come up with their output. So why would we place a higher level of transparency on people who even use them? Anyways, navigating these questions is very tough, right? How AI is used, who gets to use it. It's important to recognize that AI systems are still at their very infancy, very new, still nascent. The fact that your industry is talking about this, the Nigerian bar, we haven't talked about this. The Canadian bar, we haven't. The judges are still far behind. What is ChatGPT? People don't even know. I was at a training last week with all the deans of faculties of law of 4 countries together. And someone said, you kept saying BPT, BPT. What's BPT? What's the full meaning of BPT? I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I assumed that they would have heard of ChatGPT. And I'm like, trust me, your students are using it. People who are applying to your schools are using it. As a scholar, how do you publish if you're not going to use AI systems? Again, I don't use AI for certain parts of my work as a researcher, but there's certain parts of my work, I'm just like, thank you. Like citation. Sometimes what needs to slant, what needs to be in bracket. I'm like, this is crazy work. AI systems can do it super fast. So in closing, I would say that rather than fearing the impact of AI systems, I think we should view these moments as an exciting opportunity, an invitation to treat, to contribute to the development of the technology itself, right? So even there are headlines that say AI systems will take over most jobs and decimate most parts of the industry. I don't think it's true. We've heard that with how calculators are going to end math teachers' jobs. Calculators will take away computer scientists. But not only the calculators advanced to computers and mobile phones, we still have a shortage of math teachers and computer science teachers in schools, right? So we've heard this narrative before. Think of when they said the internet was going to eliminate libraries. Libraries would be like, there were big analysts on TV saying, I think the internet has, RIP to libraries, or when ebooks thought that, that would be the death of print publishing. But no, I think these technologies transform, but not replace. And I think you are the experts in this field, so you can determine what pathways of innovation that these tools can leverage. You can also scrutinize and decide where to use, where not to use, what tools to embargo till you understand their impact, or till they're well understood, or till the industry is prepared to be able to deal with them. So at this auspicious moment, I think we should sort of consider the opportunities that AI brings to marketing. You should be open enough to explore, to test, to ask questions, to see where it augments your abilities. So as a marketer, you should approach the use of AI with excitement, not with fear, but also with critical thinking, with some level of curiosity, with some level of craftsmanship. And I'm hoping that with your engagement, we can learn from you, and it can also transcend to other communities as well. I think my time is up. Thank you very much. Grateful for the opportunity, and if you have any questions, I look forward to answering them if I can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jake. That was energizing, just really exciting, really insightful as well. So much covered. I'm sure there's lots and lots of questions. I mean, this was described yesterday at Researcher to Reader conference as the fourth industrial revolution by somebody. And I think what you've done today show how marketing is really pivotal in this revolution and how we can benefit, but also how we can influence adoption, which is fantastic. We've got some questions, but I know there's quite a few coming in. So, and there's various things on the chat as well. So maybe we'll start with questions from the audience rather than from us. Can you see the questions, Jake? I don't know if you can or not.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so there's one from Adrian about your thoughts about artificial general intelligence and super AI, the next gen developments in AI, where things like goal setting, common sense, ethics, and moral judgment, as it feels like many of us are still getting to grips with what current AI, etc., can do. But what about in 5 to 10 years' time?
Right. Great question. I think humans have not been very great at predicting the future. Like, we've not really, ultimately, as history has shown, we are notoriously bad at predicting long-term future. So think back to when the internet was predicted to eliminate the need for that it would signal the death of print publishing. And I don't think we can adequately say what the future looks like. But the technology is proliferating so fast, it raises issues of concern as to where it's going. But in terms of how it's been efficiently integrated into our various workspaces, not so much. As a researcher myself, there's so many things I can rely on generative AI for, but I've realized in my using it that there's so many things it can't do. When I put documents into ChatGPT to summarize, I find that it reads the beginning of the document and mostly the end of the document and leaves the middle out. But I could only do this if I interrogate with it. So what I do now is when I put documents on ChatGPT, I know it's not going to read the middle of the document, especially if it's like 100-page or 200-page. And so therefore, I would still have to look at the document itself to ensure that that this summary encapsulates those points. I think the future of AI relies on its adaptation. I don't think it's how fantastic it is, like, oh, this thing does so well. It's how industries are able to say, well, this one works for us in this area, and we're going to use it for this. And other people are like, oh, this is what these companies using. This is what Delta Think is using. This is what the international branch is using. This is what we should use as well. So I think it requires that adaptation. That's where the gold ticket is. But in terms of what the systems can do, I don't want to like surprise or scare you, but there's just a lot that is just crazy. Quantum computing, nanotechnology, 3D printing, robotics, Internet of Things. There's just a lot. There's a company who's developed a refrigerator that you don't have to go to Walmart anymore. They can order your eggs and deliver. I was like, what? The analytics from your refrigerator can even I was like, this is a bit too much. Like, they're going far. And they're going well too. Let's be clear. Whilst a lot of them are just literally selling a new product, they're like actually just, doing the whole salesman pitch. But a lot of them are really ideating really, really good stuff. But we can't categorically say that this is what the future will look like in 5 years. It might be less. It might be less, way less, and we see something else come up and we have to come back to the drawing. But again, one thing I would do say is I don't think AI systems would have sentience. I don't think they would ever be like, have human innovation, human creativity. I don't think they would ever feel emotions. Those things are just, it's just not possible. We've never had a technology have like the human capacity to feel and creative and have that creative capacity like we do. But will it transform certain areas? Absolutely. It would convert and change the dynamics of every profession. But yeah, it's not to replace the work that we do.
We hope.
We hope.
I keep thinking, rise of the machines. Jake, there's been quite a bit of talk about the environmental implications of AI implementation. And we've actually heard feedback from folks who are kind of anti-AI for those reasons. Is that something that you've heard, been involved with, have any thoughts on?
Sorry, you skipped a bit in the beginning. Maybe it's my internet.
Yeah, the environmental
Oh, yes,
implication.
absolutely. So one of the courses I teach is critical approaches to AI and the law, and I have to take my students through the 5 critical aspects of AI systems that poses issues, and one of them is the environmental impact, the fact that generative AI consumes a lot of cold water, and data centers are situated in places where they have to struggle resources with the local communities. So we have reports of communities saying they don't have enough water to drink, but the data centers in their communities consuming lots of cold water, because for generative AI, they use 5 times the energy that like a regular Google search would use, because it's generative. And people think it's just data, but it's connected to large GPUs situated in big buildings across the entire world. And so the energy consumption is just increasing at an exponential rate, geometrically speaking, and we're worried about energy is finite. So if more energy goes to AI companies and AI systems and data centers, what happens to local communities? The US is almost exhausted with their land mass for where to build more data centers. And so they're thinking of coming to Canada. But the good thing about Canada is we have a lot of environmental protection laws. We have laws that protect our birds, that protect our ants, that protect our ducks. And so we will have to think about how AI systems will affect not only the land, but also the animals, also the species here. And that's raising a lot of questions. So this is a big question for big tech to think about as they build these data centers. We've seen some, I think Hannah was talking about how Finland has almost solved the homelessness issue. Sweden has helped use the energy, the heat from data centers to power their homes. So the heat that data centers take out are used to power homes across Sweden. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So there are more creative ways to think about, the energy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Hannah, I think you had another.
Yeah, so what advice would you give to marketers who are working within organizations who may have limited or perhaps even banned use of AI?
Like how may they convince their employers?
Yeah, yeah.
There's something we do, and just so to say, anybody who is like skeptical, we're all skeptical. Like even governments and regulators are skeptical, but there's something we do in the legal space called sandboxing, which is like a controlled environment where the guys who make the AI systems come, we as academics, we come, the regulators will come there, and we want to see just like a simulated environment to test what your AI systems are doing. You can't reject something you don't fully know, right? And your experience of it is not the experience that other people have of it as well. So I think first would be convincing the organization to maybe give it a try and say, can we explore, not what people are saying, can we explore 1 or 2 of these tools? It's okay to not be the first person to use the tool, but if you have colleagues who have used it or companies who have used it, you might want to say, well, tell us what your experience has been. What are some of the risks? That's 2. 3 is you might want to have a sit down with, because I'm sure many of you get people coming to pitch at you telling you there's this new AI that can do this in your, there's always somebody trying to sell you a new product, right? But genuinely interrogating them or giving more room to see what they have and see if they really would impact your work is important, right? It's better for you to see all this, do all this, and say, nah, I'm not using it, than to just have an outright ban. I think an outright ban comes from fear and sometimes legit concerns, but we've seen over time that it's not founded. So again, I would say try in your own personal capacity to ask questions and learn and use some of these tools. Try to ask for some form of like a controlled environment. Okay, we're not deploying this tool yet, but let's do a simulation. Let's see what this looks like. And then ask your colleagues who use these tools where the pitfalls have been, where the advantages have been. I think that would help.
Fantastic, thank you. And then I think we'll just squeeze in one more if that's okay. There was a question about, as a product marketer, how to market AI features and products One thing that's important is about addressing privacy and security and not getting lost in the hype. So yeah, if you've got any thoughts about how to market AI features and products.
I feel like if I can tweak the question a lot, is to say there's a lot that you can offer to the AI industry, so to speak. Like there's a lot of value with your experience not using AI that you can offer, or maybe in terms of collaboration with people who are selling you products. A lot of them actually are selling you products, but they're also training with your engagement with that product. So maybe you need to like figure out some form of collaboration with these big tech companies or AI companies. But in terms of marketing AI products, I think one good way is to show. People like to see how these things work. Also, people like it when you are able to, for example, I tell people I was a skeptic, I was a technological, I started being very like, very pessimist, and then I became more pragmatic. And maybe I'm a little more optimist now, but I'm also very critical. I'm optimist because I've looked at it and I've understood how it works. So in terms of marketing AI tools, I would say communicate it in the way that you will communicate something that you fully understand. Use your traditional skills and tools to market it in the way that it advances the outcome, not just about the wonder of the tool. A lot of people market things that like, hey, look at how fantastic it does. I don't think people care about how fantastic or how lovely. I laugh when I see marketing campaigns say, now we use AI. Yay. I'm like, okay, like, what am I going to do with that? You know? But show me, like, just in fact, show me the magic of the AI system without telling me it's AI. That would be my my goal.
Amazing. I think we'll wrap up now because people are starting to have to drop off. Thank you so much for joining us for the inaugural Marketing Matters and doing our first keynote. We really appreciate your time and your insight and your energy. It's just brilliant. We will be sharing a recording of this for everybody that's registered. There are a few people who weren't able to join live, but if you want to listen again or share with colleagues, please feel free to share this and let get the word out. If anything else occurs to you that you'd like to discuss or something that you're interested in that didn't get discussed today, please drop us a message. Our email addresses and contact details are on the screen now. Both Laurie and I will also be at London Book Fair in March in a couple of weeks. So do feel free to reach out, and Lou will be there with me as well and Laurie's colleagues. So contact us if you're attending and would like to chat with either Delta Think or the International Bunch or both of us. Thank you so much again. Thanks, Jake. It's, as always, an absolute pleasure. And round of applause on behalf of all of the attendees. Thanks everybody for coming, and we will see you for the next one.
Thanks, everyone.